transition with the father meeting with the child beginning next week?
No.
Okay. And do you see any barriers with regard to his visitation?
We're thinking of trying a male enhancement pill and
All right, Catherine Snavely and James Peterson. And Ms. Snavely, if you'll activate your video, please. Here we go. And both of you raise your right hands for me. Swear the testimony in this case to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I swear.
Do you swear that it will get worse?
And
Because it does.
Ms. Snavely, you talk about an incident in 2021.
Yeah.
Where you indicate that Mr. Peterson was intoxicated, was abusive to you, forced you to have sex.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that you then tried to work things out afterwards, and it hasn't worked out, and he's continued to contact you even though you've told him you don't want him contacting you. Do you have anything you want to add to what you had in your petition?
Yes, Your Honor. I just wish that all communication and contact would cease. That's all I've requested a couple of times, and I just want to go on with my life.
I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you.
Okay. Mr. Peterson, anything you want to say?
Yes, I have a lot I want to say about this. This was done, in my opinion, unnecessarily. I have not seen nor communicated with her by phone, like through verbal communication, in 14 months. I live in the same place. I work full-time. I walk to work, which is 5 minutes away. I have no contact with her. And the one thing that I really want to address is when she said that I forced her in that vacation, that is totally perjury, because she initiated it. And not only did she initiate it, it says, forgive my language, that we did anal. She wanted to do that before and after. So none of that is true. And the only contact that has been made between us has been me asking her to remove her belongings because I did not want to throw out someone's stuff. And she refused to get her belongings. And her last message actually was, do what you want with them, throw them away. And then she found out that I had messaged one of her friends to go for a hike, and I get a restraining order. But we have not had any contact. I've never threatened violence on her. I've never hurt her. I've never laid a hand on her. I've never done anything to her. And pure communication was all about getting her belongings. That's it, Your Honor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at an email from the 23rd of April of this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was not, sorry, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I said I was not able to submit any evidence in, I did not have enough time. I did not know you needed a week beforehand, and I had been served just a few days before that. And I'm not sure what selective emails were submitted to the court by her, because it could look out of context.
Okay. Well, the emails are, I mean, you know, they indicate that what you told me is inaccurate, because I see there's conversation back and forth about her belongings, but then it spills over into the relationship talk. And Looks like I see emails from you on the 23rd of April, the 17th of April.
We don't get to see the emails. I know we're all wondering, is there backdoor chat in the emails? We never find out. Okay?
I think the 16th, the 15th. So explain that to me.
Yes, I was, she would talk to me about the relationship. She says in the papers that she changed her number, blocked it, and did all this stuff. The only reason I had her number or her email was because she reinitiated contact with me. And once in a while, she would talk about the relationship and I would re-engage. And she gave me hope for about 6 months that we were going to get back together. And it never happened. And towards the end, it was totally civil until she kept saying that she was going to get her belongings and she wouldn't. And I have a small apartment and I have had them for 14 months. And yeah, I was a little bitter about the relationship, but I sent her an email and I was being very civil all the time with her belongings. I told her I would, when she told me to throw them away, I said, okay, but I will dispose of anything that is fragile or mail and stuff like that in an appropriate way, or save it for you, because I don't want you to lose your pass and I don't want you to lose your stuff. And even though we had those issues with our relationship and still had a little bit of bitterness between each other, I still maintained I want to get you your belongings. I did not hold that against her. She just would always say, I will come this day. And then she said, the last one of her last messages, she said, I can't remember verbatim, but she said, I can't find a time to come and pick them up. Do what you will with my stuff and throw it away.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. Ms. Snavely, it's hard for me to tell with what you submitted as to who initiated the most recent email exchange. So you tell me how that happened.
I'm not sure who initiated the most recent email exchange. I would have
That's an admission that she did in my book. Sorry.
to go back into my emails and see if I still have all of them. I have multiple times tried to arrange with James to come get my belongings, and due to the nature of our splitting last year in the spring, I tried to resolve with him times that either I could have somebody else come and get my things, or he could be not there when I got my things, and we were never able to.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. When I'm searching for clips, if I see anybody using this backdrop, I'm watching that clip because there's a 95% chance that it's good.
Come to a agreeable time or situation in which I was allowed to come get my belongings. There was a couple of different occasions on which I had somebody with a flatbed trailer lined up to come help me move my things, and James just got upset about something and said, well, I've already thrown your things away. They're gone. And I don't know if he did have my things 2 weeks ago still. I don't know if he got rid of them a long time ago. It's been back and forth a bunch of times on whether even if he still had my belongings. And at this point, I know that I'm not ever going to get them back. He's made it to where I cannot come get them. There's no time or situation that works for him.
Some people call me the space cowboy.
Works for me. And so I wanted him to stop communicating with me. And I said, please stop, or else I will go to the police and file for an order. And he sent me a nasty message after that, and I just didn't respond to it. And then he sent me another one talking about how he's going through my things, and he found pictures of me and my ex who passed away. and he said, I hope it's him, and that he enjoyed destroying the pictures or something along those lines. And this is the continued nature of when he reaches out to me every so often. It's mostly just to be mean or cruel, and I just want him to leave me alone, and I don't want him to email me. And
All right. Thank you.
Your Honor, can I respond to that?
Hold on, Mr. Peterson.
The last time was a
So
doozy.
I'll ask a couple questions here, Mr. Peterson. Are there any personal belongings of Ms. Snavely that you still have?
Yes, I kept all her mail and all that stuff because I wasn't sure how to dispose of that properly without it being tampered with or someone finding it or, anyone using her information. And I never once said I threw away her stuff, and never
Okay.
once.
All right, yeah. Well, all I need to know is you still have some of her belongings and you are willing to return those?
He's keeping him on a short leash now.
Yes, her sensitive stuff, like all her mail, all her
It's all right.
whatever that pertained to her name or was like related to her as in documents and stuff like that, I still have because I did not want someone else to get in possession of them.
And how can you return them to Ms. Snavely?
I told her that's the thing I wanted to respond to is not once was there ever a situation where she said she had a vehicle ready and she could pick stuff up, because I have stated in emails saying
I've read the emails where the two of you are going back and forth about that. Do you have a plan for getting them back to Ms. Snavely?
She can come and get them whenever she wants. I said I can put them outside the door. I can leave and have someone else be here. I said I will do anything. Just please come get your belongings.
Okay.
And she just said no, she doesn't have time.
Mhm. Okay.
Your Honor, I was given a time frame in which doing this last.
Right. Yeah, I've read the back and forth where the two of you haven't figured out how to make this happen. Can you put it in the mail, Mr. Peterson? It's just documents.
It's a lot of documents, so it would have to be shipped. And
Okay.
All right. Don't think that's plausible.
Okay. Do you want this stuff back, Ms. Snavely, or have you given up on it?
I've given up on it, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not in the position to negotiate how to make this happen. Seems to me it could be a fairly easy resolution. Like Mr. Peterson, you could just put the stuff outside your door and just leave it there. And if Ms. Snavely sends somebody to pick it up, then it gets picked up. And if after a week it's still there, then you can dispose of it. There are all 1,000 ways to do this.
I suggested that. I just didn't want
Okay,
someone to
yeah,
take it.
we're not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna negotiate it. Just
Okay.
pointing out the obvious here.
Yeah. And Your Honor, may I add that I do not mind the no contact or anything because I have no intention of contacting her further. And I have no idea where she lives, and I stay within a 1 mile radius of my house, so I have no issues with that, if that makes her feel more comfortable.
And Ms. Snavely, the two of you resided together, is that right?
Yes, we did, Your Honor.
In my apartment.
Based on the acquiescence of Mr. Peterson, I will grant the request to enter a protection order for a period of 1 year. And during that time, Mr. Peterson, no contact at all with Ms. Snavely.
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Snavely, if you want the order renewed, you'll have to come back to court and ask for it to be renewed.
Yes, Your Honor.
This order does not need further service since Mr. Peterson did appear and had previously been served. All right. Thank you both.
Have a great day, Your Honor.
Thank you. You too.
exciting and new.
Did I ask? Did I? No, did I?
You did.
I didn't even ask.
You asked eyes like this.
I asked with my eyes? Okay, what are they saying now, lady? No. We'll deal with that in a moment. All right. Court calls the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Thomas Fassler.
Ryan Sheila Benavente, Michael Parfit. And I'm pretty sure you're not Mr. Kessler.
No, Your Honor. My name is Peter Lindgren. I'm an associate with Mr. Kessler's firm. Mr. Kessler is in trial this morning, and he asked me to stand in for him.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Parfit and the Benaventes, if everybody would raise your right hands for me, please. Swear the testimony in this case will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
I do.
Hey, ma'am? Is that a yes, ma'am? I didn't hear you.
Yes, I do.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right.
There shall not be any cutting of trees. Don't cut any trees. I'll pass the order. No cutting of trees, no felling of trees in Patna number 12.
Petitioner's petition, as I understand it, is that Mr. Parfit yells over the fence at you. He peers over the fence, and he's making you uncomfortable in your own yard. Go ahead and add anything else that you think isn't caught by that summary.
No, that's about it, Your Honor. We put up an 8-foot fence to separate our world from his world. We've asked the home association to give us that permission to raise the fence just for that separation, but yet he still figures out a way to.
In the wrong world?
That's it. That's all, Your Honor.
And the safety of our granddaughter, who was here the day that he threw the branch over the fence.
All right. And when did the screening fence go up?
We started it last year.
Yeah, it was meant to be a slow process. Just whenever I got paid, I'd add a little bit to it. But when he started the harassment thing, we actually had to charge a lot of stuff to put the fence up. And then later on, we added sensors around the fence because it still didn't stop him. And then we added security cameras. He didn't seem to care about that, so we called the home association to give us permission to raise the fence, and it's still not doing anything.
All right. All right. And from the Benavente standpoint, what's your opinion as to what precipitated this, the nature of this relationship?
Well, it was an issue that I did, and it was my mistake, and I admitted it to it right off the bat, is that when I was working on the fence, what I thought was the green belt, there was a tree growing over into my yard, and there was I had to cut through 6 feet of blackberries and brush to get to that tree and cut that off so that I could continue my fence. I did not know at the time that it was private property. It looked like the green belt to me. And when he brought it to my attention, I apologized. And he said he would see what his attorney says about it. And that same afternoon, I looked out and he was grabbing my rope and my pulleys and my chains off the green belt and throwing it on his property. And I said, dude, that's my stuff. What are you doing? And he said, it's mine. So my property now. What are you going to do about it? That's at the point when I thought, I'm not dealing with a rational individual here. So I just kind of walked back in the house, and that's the way it's been ever since.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Lindgren, do you have any questions for the Benaventes?
No, Your Honor.
And you wish to have Mr. Parfit testify?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm also prepared to defend the motion or defend the Mr. Parfit's response to the petitioner's petition in this case. But if there's something you'd like to hear from Mr. Parfit.
Okay, we have not received a written response. So if there's a written response, it's not in the file. So do you have a written response from Mr. Parfit?
I do, Your Honor.
And have the Benaventes received that?
We have not.
We have not.
Okay. So I think since I don't have one and the Benaventes don't have one, I think the way you're going to have to do that is have Mr. Parfit testify today. And since you have a statement, you can use that as your basis for asking him questions.
Very well, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'll just remind Mr. Parfit, you're under oath. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lindgren.
The associate is so excited that he got this dumped on his lap at the last minute.
So do you want the whole story? Can I ask for a continuance?
Here.
Okay.
So we've heard what the Benaventes have had to say.
Yes.
And Mr. Lindgren, as your attorney, can figure out how best to respond by asking you questions concerning what you believe the facts are.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Lindgren, go ahead.
Mike, in August of 2023, how did this dispute begin?
We, prior to, or sometime in the beginning of early August 23, me and my wife noticed a large gap in the green belt property line owned by the HOA. And I went to go look at the property line and I saw numerous trees from the green belt, plus one large tree in particular had been cut down. Prior to that, prior to Mrs. Benavente a note, which I believe is in evidence, that said, can Roy contact me to talk about the tree he took down? She told me that he was on the river fishing and she would get him the note. I went into the green belt and I went onto our property corner. I had rented a special tool that'll find a surveyor's hub. And I was looking for the property corner when within 20 minutes, Mr. Benavente approached me in the green belt and on my property, demanded to know what I was doing on his property. I wasn't on his property. I was on my property in the green belt. In his statement, he states that, or somebody states that I accused him of taking the property stake. I never once accused him of taking the property stake. He actually showed me where it was. It was under the cover of an iron pipe. So I pulled the iron pipe. I checked with the special metal detector, and that's the property corner. So I said to him, I said, if this is the property corner and that's the tree on my property, then you cut down my tree. And prior to that, we had a conversation about he had gotten a plot map from the county and that the map was wrong. And I told him it wasn't. I asked to look at his map.
I think this guy's right about the property line issue, but wow, he's intense. Like I don't know if I want him for a neighbor.
He said no. I said, do you want to look at my phone? Because I was on the website for the county. He said no. He said I could go buy a map from the county office like he did. Then we could look at my map.
Okay, so let me just stop you there so you understand what I need here. I'm not going to be able to resolve any property issue if there's any dispute about that.
Right.
Okay. What I am concerned about is the relationship between the parties as a result of this. So to focus, if you'll focus your questions to Mr. Parfit about that, about how whatever transpired between the parties after that is what I'm looking for. So go ahead.
I've met them on 4 occasions. Once I delivered a note, once I talked to both of them through a closed front door with a witness. The other 2 instances was on April 31st when he approached me in the Greenbelt and on my property, and then August 31st. And then on April 13th, I was in the Greenbelt cleaning up the tree he cut down. and some other damage and things like that. And they beat on their fence to get my attention. I was running a chainsaw. I had hearing protection in. I had hand tools, and I hollered, "I'll talk to you when I'm done." When I quit running the chainsaw, I went and stood on a stump in the greenbelt, looked over their fence, got their attention, and asked what was going on. What did they want? Whatever. We had a verbal altercation. They said I threw a branch over the fence. I told them it wasn't on purpose. I'm cleaning the backyard up. I'm throwing branches and stuff behind me, running the chainsaw. I mean, you see the video, you do see something go over the fence. It wasn't intentional. I didn't.
Okay. Since that date, have you had any contact with the Benaventes? And do you on any regular basis look over their fence outside of the incident you just described?
No, not on a regular basis. No.
Okay.
Mike, when you asked the Benaventes to pay for the tree, did you leave when they asked you to?
Yeah. They submitted a video. It shows 15 seconds of them asking me to leave their property, and that's what I did. It doesn't show maybe the minute or longer before that where he told me that we could talk through the door. There's none of that in context. It's just them yelling at me, asking me to leave their property, which I did. I've never been on their property since.
How many times since the tree was cut down do you think you've interacted with them?
Since the tree was cut down, twice. When I talked to him through the door about the damages, and then on April 13th.
Have the petitioners ever tried to seek a protective order against you before?
Apparently, this is the second time. I wasn't aware of anything the first time around. They make a statement that they tried to get an order sometime last year, I'm assuming, and it, I don't know, was squashed or null and void or something. I don't know what happened. I wasn't even aware of that.
Have the petitioners ever called the police on you?
Yes. On March 8th, it looks like there was a call made that I was sitting in front of her house and I would park for a few minutes and drive away. I did a PDR. I got the audio of the 911 call, and I did another PDR, and I got the officer's notes. In either through the notes or the audio, there's no description of me. There's no description of the vehicle. I've never intentionally parked in front of their house. Also, in that audio phone call, she references something to the effect that I threw the top of the tree that they cut down on top of their shed. And that's not what happened. Prior to her calling on March 8th, we had some windstorms or something like that. And we lost another tree on our property, and it went down into a healthy tree on our property. It went into the damaged tree that the Benaventes cut down, and it fell across their fence and onto their shed. It was still attached to the ground. We didn't hear anything from them or anything. On April 13th, we went out there, I cut up the tree that fell over, pulled it all off of their fence and off the top of their shed from my property line, got it out of there, untangled it from our healthy tree, and I cut the tree up that was on the ground. When they approached me on the 13th, they never said anything to me about throwing the branches up on top of their shed. And it wasn't the branches from the tree he cut down. It was from a tree that fell down. The root ball was still attached to the ground, and we just cut it up. It was our tree. We cut it up. We pulled it out of their fence and off the top of their shed. But part of this, you don't have that. They don't have that, because the documents I got say I have 7 days to file any evidence, and I didn't get 7 days to file it. and there's another RCW or something, the sheriff has to serve me with 5 days, and I wasn't even served with 5 days. I've had basically 3 business days to do PDRs, to find an attorney, to get things put together.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
Mike, during the interaction over the branches falling in their yard, the first one, were you carrying a firearm or some other kind of weapon?
No.
And is it true that it has only been 4 court days since you were served with this?
Yeah, I was served on Tuesday afternoon, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, with a court date on Monday morning.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Benaventes, anything else you want to add?
You know, Your Honor, we just want to be left alone to live our lives. We don't care about what goes on outside. Like I said, we apologize for the tree, but that apparently didn't stop him. We just want to enjoy our retirement years and just enjoy our backyard. That's all.
I've listened to the testimony of the parties in this case, and I had previously reviewed the exhibits that had been filed by the petitioners. And I do understand that Mr. Parfit was indicating that if given his preference, he would ask for more time to prepare. But after hearing all of this, I'm going to deny the petitioner's request for a protection order. Thus is why I'm not addressing the respondent's request for a continuance. It appears that there's been this dispute over apparently the tree led to some contention between the neighbors, and the relationship sort of went downhill after that. But the contacts have been limited. I don't have any evidence of any contact subsequent to the 13th of April. And I don't find in here a basis for me to enter a protection order. So I'm going to deny the Benaventes request for such an order. What I will indicate, Mr. Parfit, is one, if you're seeking reimbursement for the cut tree and an apology is not enough, make sure any contact is through counsel, not through you.
Yes, Your
Go to
Honor.
the door and hand them a bill or anything.
Yep.
They've made clear they don't want contact from you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they're on their property, you're on your property. They don't want to have discussions about the property. If you have objection to how they're administering their property, or if you think they're cutting your property or the green belt or whatever, either go to the HOA or contact counsel and have counsel contact them.
Yep.
But you can see how we're here in court because of the nature of the contact. I watched the video and I heard both parties yelling, so I understand
Yep.
that. I just strongly suggest that you avoid contact with the Benaventes in any fashion unless you're going through third parties because you have certain issues.
Can that,
And the Benaventes understand the nature of this, and I would strongly suggest Mr. Parfit is also asking that you not contact him directly. And I've heard you say all you want is peace on your property, so I suspect you'll be happy not to contact Mr. Parfit. So hopefully this will bring we'll put this issue to bed for now, and hopefully this will bring some at least peaceful coexistence. You may not have to become best friends, but as neighbors, each party would probably like to enjoy their property peacefully without feeling under threat from the other. So let's see if we can leave it that way.
understood?
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
you. And we'll give you a copy of the
Thank you, Your
denial
Honor.
order. And for the Benaventes, you're not present, but a copy of this order will be available to you in your electronic file with the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
There shall not be any cutting of trees. Don't cut any trees. I'll pass the order to them. No cutting of trees, no felling of trees in Patta number 12.
There you have it. It all worked out. I do have to thank Taranyenko for the opening bit. It happens fast. If you didn't catch it, go back and listen to it again. It's fantastic. It's very short, but it's good. in both of these, the people didn't seem that outrageously crazy. It's just like they got a little too jacked up and then couldn't work out obvious things. Like that guy, I don't think is that bad of a guy, but he seems too intense. The other thing that struck me, only as I was watching it right now, because he asked him about firearms. What he's trying to say is I wasn't carrying firearms to be threatening, but I'll bet you anything that guy owns firearms, and he doesn't want a PPO against him because they're going to make him turn in his firearms. And I don't blame him, which is why he shows up with an attorney at this thing. And I don't think a PPO is necessary here, just in the sense that guy's a little intense in the. I think he got out of line a little bit, but it's not like a repeated. It's not like he's over there harassing him every day. I get where everyone's coming from. The couple's like, okay, that guy's a little too intense, and we need some protection from him, and he is a little too intense, but I don't know, not that bad. Same with the couple. I mean, they were 90% there. They were 90% there. They broke up. They still have some feelings, so they go back and forth a little bit. But it ain't happening. It ain't happening. I think the guy got the final message in that one. Yeah, I don't think he was too over the top either. Honestly, like both of them were about 80% credible to me, which is to say I believed in substance what both of those people said, but they shaded it on their own behalf, as is human. And it's in the shading where the problems occurred. I think we have two success stories here. I think we have two cases where they actually will leave each other alone. So let's all sing Kumbaya. It's a beautiful thing here at Law Talk with Mike. Everybody wins. Thank y'all for coming out. Have a good night.